Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. So as you probably gathered, this tutorial is on the quite frankly awesome acoustic guitar solo in the song Come Up and See Me. If you want the tabs, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/jbfmusic. And this is the part lesson here where I go through the solo bar by bar, highlighting anything you might want to watch out for, tips, tricks, just for those who really want to get into the minutiae and make the solo really pop. And if you like this format, a full speed demo, one without the backing track and a slow one, with no tabs and no talking, followed by an explanation with the talking and the tabs, then let me know with a like and a comment. These sorts of interactions really are a huge boost and a huge help to the channel. And make sure to give a subscribe a click as well as enable notifications so you don't miss out on new content. Now, I don't have the access to the masters here or the stems, so I've just worked this out by ear from the single version. Now, as far as I can tell, this is a pretty accurate transcription, but any corrections, as always, are more than welcome, so just pop them down in the comments. So final side note, if the slower playthrough was still too fast for you, because you're just learning it, it's fair enough, just use the settings cog that you get in YouTube and slow it down there. I use that all the time, it's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, the first noteworthy thing here, I've got it right off the bat, the first part of the solo is really in 2/4. So what does that mean? Like, don't worry if music theory makes no sense to you, this is pretty easy to explain. Well, the rhythm before we come into the solo ends on a G chord. And then there's a pause before the solo comes in. You know the song, you probably know this bit. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, then the solo comes in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing just those 4 notes in bar 39 before the band kicks in. This might throw you off a bit and make you feel like you've done something wrong or feel like trying to play faster, but it's just a shorter bar. You might know the song well enough that this doesn't throw you. Great, I just wanted to cover this for folk who felt something was a bit funky here or a bit off, but you know, couldn't quite place what it was. Yeah, so I'm using my third finger to slide from the 5th to the 7th frets here on the D string. Just going between them as you kind of expect using the 1st and 3rd finger. In bar 40, you probably want to add some vibrato to the 7th fret. You can see that kind of wiggly line there above it in the tab, and whenever you see that, just add in some vibrato. The original guitarist tends to use more of a rock vibrato like I did there, that's kind of pulling the string, than a classical one, which is kind of sliding up and down it. This kind of works a bit better on acoustics, I think, just if you want to get this as accurate as possible. After that, we've got another hammer from the 5 to the 7, then playing the 5th fret. You'll get this on acoustic quite a lot. On electric we might have just done a trill, but because acoustic is kind of harder to do that on, a lot of time people will hammer, then play the note after, just so you get a nice strong pronounced sound. Another common thing to do is to do more downstrokes, just for consistency, up to you whether you want to do that or not. The next phrase, and I would really suggest tackling this solo in phrases, is in triplets. So we got 6 notes in the space of 4, meaning it's a little bit faster, but luckily all on one string. It starts on a slightly unusual beat of the bar, so watch out for that. Bar 42 is 3 of these triplet notes. Then we're back to regular 8th notes, so that means it slows back down a bit here in terms of how fast we play. I mean, you can use legato for this. If it's a bit too fast, it won't be as authentic, but if the difference is getting through it and kind of stumbling or having difficulty picking it, just go with the path of least resistance, because you can always come back and relearn this stuff. So those 8th notes in bar 42 go like this. Wrapping up phrase 2 with another open string, and then the 3rd fret on the A string 2 times. So phrase 2 by itself. Another tricky bit in terms of the timing, we come in on the 3rd beat of the bar, so if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, we're hitting this 5th fret for a quick slide up to the 7th on the 3rd beat. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, right? The next tricky thing here is that the next notes are dotted, meaning they're 8th notes plus half of that value. So you could think of it as an 8th note at a 16th, or 3 16th notes tied together. Again, if that sounds like nonsense, the feeling here you get is it's just sort of staggered. It feels sort of disjointed. So that idea continues for that 7th fret there, and then again we have one of these quick slides up to the 9th fret. The last 2 notes here are just back to normal 8th notes, so it'll feel a bit more natural and on the beat there. Play the 10th fret again and add in some vibrato for bar 46. A little trill between 8 and 10, so we're going to go 8, 10, 8. Playing the string once, just doing a hammer and a pull off. We then have a slide from 10 to 12 on this high E string, 12 again, and you probably want to add in a bit of vibrato here, maybe doing more of a kind of classical one because there isn't as much room for this kind of thing. Well, up to yourself. And this phrase is kind of finished off with that note, that first note of bar 47. So phrase number 3. As a side note, you'll notice that these phrases overlap the bar lines, which really makes the solo feel less rigid while still leaving enough space that doesn't feel crowded. It's a really great bit of guitar playing going on here. The next phrase, phrase 4, starts with bar 47. We have this 12th and 13th frets acting as a lead-in. And to me it sounds like Jim Cregan, I'm not too sure how to pronounce his second name. The guitar player on this track, it sounds like he picks the 15th fret twice before essentially trem picking it. So now, when I slowed this down and listened to it, it did sound like he was playing straight 16th notes here. So you'd have 1 E adder, 2 E adder, 1 E adder, 2 E adder. But if you want to just go for it here, I don't see why you shouldn't cram in as many notes as you can, provided you keep it in time. We continue this kind of trem picking or 16th note idea, returning to 8 notes for the last notes of the bar. So those 13th frets down to the 12, and then this 13th fret on the B here. Again, that squiggly line means vibrato, and that also rounds up the phrase. So that phrase, it's hard to do this one slow with the trem picking, but I will give it my best. So as a quick recap of phrase 4 there. Phrase 5 picks up in bar 49 with the 12th and the 10th frets. We then have 5 hits of this 12th fret on the G string. We get 2 8th notes and then 3 triplets. So you get, play that again. We have a solitary 10th fret here before we resume the triplets. And then it sounds to me like this quick slide going from the 10th to the 12th. It could be a hammer. Just whichever you go for, I'm sure it'll sound fine. And the notes in brackets there as well, it sounds like he hits the 12th fret again after the slide. But I wasn't totally certain, so I'll leave it up to you. If you think it's in there or not, you just play it. It could be a byproduct of the vibrato and some kind of fret noise. But yeah, phrase 5. Last stretch here, well done for sticking with it. This is not an easy solo, it's in fact quite a tricky one. I'd say deceptively so, because you wouldn't expect an acoustic guitar solo in what is essentially a pop song to be quite as technically demanding as this. But we've got a really short phrase for phrase 6. Again, there's this kind of staggered feel with the combining the 8th notes and the triplets. The end of bar 52 is the start of phrase 7, where we have a hammer then a pull off, and then play this note once more. So you have hammer, pull off, play the note, up to speed, and slower. Now, in all honesty, I couldn't totally make out if this happens in the songs. As a side note, it might actually just be a hammer, and then either playing this note by a pull off or picking it. But it sounded like there was this little grace note in there. So that's why I put it in the tab. Again, use your own discretion whether you think that's accurate or not. Picking all the notes in bar 53. Again, I'm not totally sure if that 12th fret in parenthesis is played, so it's up to you what you go for. You might just kind of go straight into the trem picking and sort of slur that first note. We've got some more 16th note or trem picking on this 12th fret this time. Back to 8th notes on the 3rd beat of the bar, where we're playing this 12th fret, then coming down into bar 55 where we're finishing it off. We've got this again, down to the 10th fret where you want to pull off to the 9, play the 10th fret, and again, down to the 9, 10 to finish it off. You might want to slide down and out of this final note here. So phrase 7. Okay, hopefully this breakdown has been comprehensive enough that the potential stumbling blocks can mainly be avoided. If not, I do always try my best to get back to questions, so if you have any, please do just leave them in the comments. But that was the Come Up and See Me solo by Steve Harley and the Cockney Rebel. If you've enjoyed this, you'll probably also like my Since You've Been Gone solo lesson, or the other iconic solos in that playlist. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave me a comment, share it with your fellow musicians, and enable notifications by ringing that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.